Makingascene.org brings you a review of Spotify is the billboard, not the building. If you're an independent artist and you feel like you're just spinning your wheels, constantly chasing plays but never really gaining any ground, then you're going to want to stick around. This is an explainer that really outlines a fundamental shift in thinking that could totally change how you build your entire career.
And that right there, that's the core argument from makingascene.org. It's a really bold statement, isn't it? It completely reframes the whole struggle. It's saying your problem isn't your promotion, it's not your playlisting strategy, it's the very foundation you're building your career on. So, in this explainer, we're going to follow that exact blueprint. First up, we'll diagnose the real problems so many artists face. Then, we'll get into the core mindset shift that changes everything. From there, we'll lay out the 5 practical pillars of ownership, see how it all works together, and finally connect it all back to the ultimate goal, your creative and financial freedom. All right, so let's start by dissecting that core frustration. We're talking about what's called the dependent artist loop, this cycle that feels like you're doing all the right things, but somehow you're just not moving forward.
Does this little hamster wheel look familiar to you? According to makingascene.org, this is the tired loop. You pour your heart and soul and probably your budget into driving traffic to Spotify. You chase those playlist ads, you watch the numbers bump up for a week, and for a minute, it feels like you're winning, right? But then, poof, it all just fades away and you're right back at square one for the next release.
And here's the fundamental flaw in that whole loop. You don't actually own the relationship with those listeners. All that effort creates this temporary audience, but it doesn't build you any real, lasting leverage. Think of it like this. You've brought hundreds of people to an amazing party, but the bouncer won't let you get anyone's phone number. You are completely at the mercy of Spotify's algorithm to let you talk to your own fans ever again.
And that brings us to the central idea that unlocks this whole strategy. It's a really powerful mindset shift that redefines the true role of streaming platforms in your career.
Yeah, this slide just lays out the 2 paths perfectly. The old model, it's all about sending your fans, your single most valuable asset, away to a rented space like Spotify. Every bit of effort you put in is an investment in someone else's business. The ownership model completely flips this on its head. You use Spotify as a billboard for discovery, sure, but then you invite those fans back to a home base that you own and control. It's the difference between being a lifelong renter and finally owning your own home.
This is just a brilliant way to illustrate the problem with things like paying for playlist placement. You're spending your hard-earned cash to get a spike in streams in someone else's mall, but you get no data, no contact info, no long-term asset out of it. It's an investment in another company's funnel, not yours. Okay, so if we're done building on rented land, what's the alternative? This is where we get into the practical stuff, the actual infrastructure you need to build your own world on your own terms. These are the 5 essential pillars of ownership. Think of them as the absolute non-negotiables for your business. You need a home base, which is your website, a bridge to get people there from places like Spotify, a list for direct communication, a store for direct revenue, and finally, this thing called a passport layer to create true, lasting membership. So let's break those down. Pillar 1, your home base. This is your website on your own domain. It's the one place on the entire internet that is 100% yours. No algorithm changes, no new rules. This is where your best, your deepest content and experiences should live, not on some social media profile that could change its terms tomorrow.
Okay, next up, your list and your store. Your email list is the single most powerful communication tool you have. It's a direct, unfiltered line to your fans. And your own store, whether it's on Bandcamp or built right into your site, that's where you reclaim your revenue stream and cut out as many middlemen as you possibly can.
Now, this is where the model gets really forward-thinking, the passport layer. It's basically using modern tech to create a 21st century fan club. So instead of a plastic membership card, you can give fans a digital collectible that proves they were there at a specific show or during an album launch. It's a key to your community that they, and you, own forever, totally independent of any platform. Pretty cool, right?
So we've got the pillars, but how do you actually get a casual listener from Spotify to become a real part of your world? Well, that's where the reverse funnel comes into play.
The journey looks just like this. A fan discovers you on Spotify. They're curious, so they click the link in your bio. That link is your bridge, and it takes them to a specific landing page where you have a really compelling offer. They trade their email or claim a passport to get it, and just like that, they've stepped out of that rented mall and into your building. A direct relationship has officially begun.
But what actually makes someone cross that bridge? You need a strong, compelling offer. And let's be real clear, join my newsletter is not an offer. It's a chore for them. As makingascene.org points out, you have to offer real value that's directly connected to the music they just heard. An alternate take, a private behind-the-scenes video, the handwritten lyrics, something that gives them a deeper experience they just can't get on Spotify.
And that special offer needs to live on a dedicated landing page. This is another really crucial point. Don't send them to your homepage with a million things to click on. Send them to a simple, focused page that does one job and one job only. Convert their curiosity into permission. It's a door, not a museum. Make it easy for them to open it. Now look, Spotify does give you some useful data in Spotify for Artists. You can see your top cities, your listener demographics, but the platform just gives you these signals. What do you actually do with them? This is where the source suggests a modern tool, AI. Now, not as a creative replacement, but as an operations assistant. You can take your weekly data snapshot from Spotify and use a tool like ChatGPT to quickly translate it into an action plan. Drafting targeted social posts for your top cities or brainstorming offers based on your most popular song. It just helps you stay consistent and act on that data. So you've built the system. You're using it consistently. What is the real payoff for all this work? Well, this brings us to the final and honestly the most important piece of the puzzle, building your freedom. This slide sums it all up perfectly. On Spotify, a stream is just a stream, but in your world, it's the beginning of a discovery. Seeing Denver as a top city is just a piece of trivia on Spotify, but in your world, that's actionable intelligence that tells you where you have 183 fans on your email list just waiting for you to book a show. See the difference? That's the difference between data and leverage. And this is the ultimate takeaway. The entire point of this ownership model isn't just about chasing bigger numbers. It's about building a foundation that gives you freedom. Freedom from algorithms, freedom from gatekeepers, and freedom from the financial stress of being dependent on platforms you don't control. So the final question is for you. As you look at your own strategy, are you spending your time, your energy, and your money building on rented land? Or are you finally ready to start building your home? Make sure you check out the other great articles and resources on makingascene.org, the place the indie artist goes to build the new music industry.